America's top counterterrorism chief just quit, and his reason for why the war started will shake you. Trump didn't go to war because Iran threatened America. He went to war because he feared for his family. No intelligence, no imminent threat, just a president who felt cornered, and a powerful lobby that knew it. The most expensive war in a decade might have started for the most personal reason imaginable. Donald Trump may have gone to war with Iran not because of intelligence, but because he feared for his family's safety. That is the most startling claim to emerge from a 2-hour interview aired on March 18th between former Fox News host Tucker Carlson and Joe Kent, the man Trump appointed to run America's National Counterterrorism Center, and who quit the job as a matter of principle.
President Trump is very smart. I think President Trump has a gift for interpreting large sets of data.
Yes.
And making very, very key strategic decisions. And so when the president sees that he's got issues with his own security detail, when he sees what happened in Butler with the other assassination attempts, when he sees what happened with Charlie, I think it's reasonable to believe that somewhere in his head he thinks that, like, maybe I don't have a choice. Maybe they could harm me or they could harm my family. And if they can't keep me safe, I believe the president deeply cares. I believe he's very courageous. I think if it was just a matter of he worried about his own physical safety, I don't think he cares. We saw that in Butler. But he does love his family, and he's got a big family. And so somewhere in his head, if they can't keep me safe, what about my family?
Kent is no ordinary critic. A decorated Special Forces veteran with 11 combat deployments, he spent the better part of 2 decades fighting Iranian proxies across Iraq and Syria. His wife, Navy Senior Chief Petty Officer Shannon Kent, was killed fighting ISIS in Syria in 2019. When he speaks about Iran, he has earned the right. His resignation letter, posted on March 18th, accused high-ranking Israeli officials and influential American media figures of running a misinformation campaign that pushed Trump into a war the president had spent a decade promising to avoid.
After much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center, effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby.
In the interview with Carlson, Kent pointed to a string of security breaches around the president, the assassination of Trump ally Charlie Kirk, and what he described as a blocked investigation into Kirk's killing, as data points that may have left Trump feeling cornered. On the war itself, Kent was blunt. He told Carlson there was no intelligence showing Iran was planning any attack on the United States.
There was no intelligence that said, hey, on whatever day it was, March 1st, the Iranians are going to launch this big sneak attack. They're going to do some kind of a 9/11 at Pearl Harbor, etc. They're going to attack one of our bases. There was none of that intelligence.
Kent also argued that Secretary of State Marco Rubio had effectively confirmed as much, when Rubio said in an earlier statement that the US acted because Israel was about to strike and Iran would retaliate. Kent's reading was pointed. The imminent threat, he said, came from Israel, not Iran. Tucker Carlson touched upon a sensational interview with Joe Kent, a striking claim that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's security detail was caught attaching a device to a US Secret Service emergency vehicle during a visit to Washington.
You mentioned the breaches of the president's security that have been reported. One that was reported, and I can't say whether it's true. I'm only asking to see if you know that it is true. But it's been reported that Prime Minister Netanyahu's security detail was caught twice by Secret Service attaching some kind of device to the president's Secret Service emergency response vehicle.
That claim came as the backdrop to what became a wide-ranging and explosive interview with Joe Kent, the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center, who resigned on March 17th over his opposition to the Iran war. It was his first public appearance since stepping down. Kent, a retired Green Beret with 11 combat deployments and 6 Bronze Stars, told Carlson that key voices inside the intelligence community had been shut out of the room when the decision to go to war was made. Kent was blunt about who he believed drove the decision. Israel, Kent said, felt confident that whatever action it took, Washington would fall in line.
The Israelis drove the decision to take this action, which we knew would set off a series of events, meaning the Iranians would retaliate. Now, I think there's a potential there where we could have done several different things. We could have simply said to the Israelis, no, you will not. And if you do, then we will take something away from you. I think that it's fine that we offer defense to Israel. But when we're providing the means for their defense, we get to dictate the terms of when they go on the offensive. Otherwise, they stand to lose that relationship. And the Israelis felt emboldened that no matter what they did, no matter what situation they put us in, that they could go ahead and take this action, and we would just have to react.
When Carlson put it to him directly that the imminent threat described by the administration was not from Iran, but from Israel, Kent replied simply, exactly. Kent also challenged the administration's core justification for the war. There was, he said, no intelligence suggesting Iran was planning any kind of first strike on the United States. Kent went further, offering an assessment that cut against the official line on Iran's nuclear ambitions. The late Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, he argued, had actually been a restraining force.
Going aggressively after the Ayatollah was the last thing that we ever should have done. Again, I'm no fan of the former Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei. However, he was moderating their nuclear program. He was preventing them from getting a nuclear weapon. If you take him out, if you kill him aggressively, people are going to rally around that regime. And the next Ayatollah that you get, and I think this is the case by all data that we have with his son, the next Ayatollah that you get is going to be more radical because he has to show the people that he's going to push back.
The interview aired as NBC News reported that the FBI had already opened a leak investigation into Kent before his resignation, probing whether he had disclosed classified information. Kent said on air he anticipated attempts to discredit him, but added that he believed Trump knew at some level the war was not going well and was looking for a way out.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts.